Imagine a company that can influence your salary, gas prices, or even how quickly you receive medical care with a single decision. This isn't science fiction. It's reality, and that company is BlackRock. While most people have never heard of it, BlackRock manages $10 trillion in assets. That's more than the entire GDP of countries like Japan or Germany. So how did one company come to control such massive wealth? It's simple. BlackRock is the world's largest investment firm. Its primary role is managing money for its clients, which include major corporations, pension funds, banks, and even governments. This means that many decisions in the global economy hinge on where BlackRock chooses to invest. For instance, if it pours billions of dollars into a particular industry, that industry will likely grow. Conversely, if BlackRock withdraws its investments, it could trigger an economic crisis for a specific company, or even an entire country. Think about it. When you buy a new smartphone, like an iPhone, you may not realize that BlackRock owns shares in Apple. This gives the firm influence over the company's decisions, which can ultimately affect how much you pay for your new device. What's even more astounding is that BlackRock's influence extends across 80 countries, including the US, China, and Europe. If BlackRock decides to pull its investments from a country or company, it could cause significant economic disruption. BlackRock plays a major role in managing pension funds worldwide. In the US, it oversees the retirement savings of millions of people through funds like Vanguard and State Street. This means the future of retirees largely depends on how BlackRock handles these investments. If the company makes a poor decision or invests in risky assets, it could directly impact pension payouts. Recently, BlackRock launched a Bitcoin ETF, a major milestone for the cryptocurrency industry. This fund allows both institutional and retail investors to invest in Bitcoin without buying it directly, making cryptocurrency more accessible. Since the ETF's introduction, the crypto market has seen a significant inflow of new capital. Experts predict this could serve as a catalyst for further Bitcoin price increases, as demand from institutional investors continues to grow. Many analysts are already attributing Bitcoin's recent price surge to BlackRock's efforts to open cryptocurrency to a wider audience. But that's not all. BlackRock's influence on the global economy. BlackRock doesn't just manage money, it sets the rules for the global economy. Its decisions influence oil prices, stock valuations, and even economic crises. Can you imagine a single company reshaping global economic processes? $10 trillion under management. That's more than the annual GDP of most countries in the world. 80 countries rely on BlackRock's decisions. The company can impact the economy of any of these nations. BlackRock's influence extends to the financial futures of countless retirees. BlackRock isn't just an investment firm, it's a global powerhouse whose decisions affect entire countries, markets, and millions of lives. Curious about how this company shapes governments and laws? Stick around to discover who really pulls the strings behind the world's biggest political decisions. Think about it. What if one company could decide whether food prices would rise, whether new technology would become available, or whether the stock market would crash? This isn't fantasy. It's the real power that BlackRock holds. Its influence spans the globe, and it's not just about money. It's power over key companies and even entire countries. A simple example. Imagine giants like Apple, Microsoft, and Amazon. Billions of people use their products daily. But here's what few know. BlackRock owns a significant share of these companies' stocks. This means it can influence their decisions, whether to release a new iPhone or change Amazon's strategy. BlackRock literally controls their future, and therefore the future of the technologies we use. But that's not all. BlackRock holds stakes in a vast number of companies worldwide, and on some stock markets, up to 7% of all assets belong to it. Imagine, if BlackRock decided to sell these assets, it could cause a market crash. It manages such a large share that it could single-handedly reshape the economy of an entire sector. A fact often overlooked. Through its subsidiaries, such as Aladdin, BlackRock doesn't just manage assets. It collects and analyzes colossal amounts of financial market data. This data is used for forecasting and strategies, giving it even more control over global economic processes. Aladdin evaluates risks, predicts crises, and provides BlackRock with a unique edge in financial markets. In other words, BlackRock is an invisible player on the global chessboard. Its influence extends to financial markets, technology, commodities, oil, real estate, everything that can be bought or sold. And considering it controls companies like Apple and Microsoft, it effectively determines the future of entire industries. Apple, Microsoft, Amazon. Their fate is in BlackRock's hands as it controls billions of dollars of their capital. On some stock markets, up to 7% of assets belong to BlackRock, giving it the ability to steer economic processes on a national scale. Through its platform Aladdin, BlackRock analyzes and controls financial information, further strengthening its influence on the global economic order. Now think about this. If BlackRock has such a significant impact in the financial sphere, what effect can it have on political decisions and governments? Look deeper to understand who truly shapes laws in favor of big capital. Consider this. If an economic crisis hits, who will help your country overcome it? The government? The central bank? Not quite. In reality, it is BlackRock, a company behind many crucial decisions of world leaders, that steps onto the stage in such moments. During tough times, governments turn to it for assistance. For example, in 2020, when the U.S. economy was on the brink due to well-known events, the Federal Reserve entrusted BlackRock with buying corporate bonds worth $750 billion. This is a colossal sum, and it was BlackRock that rescued the country's largest corporations. This shows that in times when the government needed help, it couldn't manage without this company. An even more impressive fact, in 2010, when Greece faced a severe financial crisis, BlackRock was also brought in to assist. The Greek government hired the company to audit its banks and assess risks. BlackRock's recommendations at that time helped identify which banks required urgent support and which ones needed to be restructured. This step influenced the entire banking system of the country and its ability to recover from the crisis. What's even more shocking is that BlackRock doesn't just help but also influences governments' economic decisions. It advises on how to manage money, where to invest, and what economic measures to take. This means that in critical moments, the decisions made by governments largely depend on BlackRock's recommendations. For example, after the 2008 financial crisis, the company played a key role in stabilizing the U.S. banking system. BlackRock helped develop rescue strategies for major banks like Citigroup and Bank of America. Without its involvement, the banks could have faced even greater problems, leading to a deeper crisis. But BlackRock's influence doesn't stop there. In 2021, the company signed an agreement with the EU to advise on sustainable financing and the green economy. BlackRock is effectively participating in shaping European strategies for transitioning to clean technologies, influencing which projects receive funding and which do not. In 2023, it was revealed that BlackRock has lobbying departments in government institutions in countries like Germany and France. This means that it not only helps resolve crises, but also actively participates in politics at the highest level. The company lobbies for the interests of its clients and promotes laws that benefit large corporations rather than ordinary citizens. It turns out that BlackRock is not just a financial company. Its influence extends far beyond the market. It takes part in decision-making at the governmental level, advising on key issues in economics, finance, and ecology. This makes it a shadow player influencing global politics and economics. In 2020, BlackRock helped the Federal Reserve buy bonds worth $750 billion, becoming a key player in saving the U.S. economy. BlackRock was involved in resolving the Greek banking crisis, assessing risks, and influencing the rescue of the country's banking system. The company has its own lobbyists in the governments of major countries like Germany and France, allowing it to influence politics from within. This suggests that BlackRock is not just a company, it is becoming a shadow player on the global political stage. Its influence on government decisions is so significant that one might wonder, who really governs countries? Have you ever thought about who actually writes the laws? Politicians? Perhaps, but there are even more influential players behind the scenes. Large corporations like BlackRock. This company is so powerful that its representatives literally sit at the same table with politicians, helping make decisions that affect millions of people. A simple example, BlackRock has its people in the European Parliament, one of Europe's main legislative bodies. They promote laws that benefit large corporations rather than ordinary people. Imagine that the laws governing an entire continent could be written in the interests of a small group of people controlling billions. In 2021, BlackRock found itself at the center of a scandal in France. The French government invited the company to consult on pension system reform. This sparked public protests as many French citizens doubted that BlackRock's recommendations would be in the interests of ordinary people. They feared that the reforms could lead to the privatization of pension funds, increasing retirees' dependence on the financial market managed by BlackRock. The result? The public perceived this as an attempt to hand over their future to the corporation. Another fact that few people know: BlackRock's CEO Larry Fink is a regular participant in the World Economic Forum in Davos, where world leaders gather to discuss global issues. Behind closed doors, decisions are made here that affect millions of people. Fink frequently meets with heads of state, such as the presidents of the US and France, and the prime ministers of the UK and other countries. These aren't just formal meetings, but discussions of global strategies, where large corporations like BlackRock play a key role. A fact that might surprise you: from 2015 to 2020, BlackRock spent over $80 million on lobbying its interests in the US. This money was used to promote laws that protect the corporation and its clients. One such example is legislation related to financial market regulation. BlackRock's lobbyists actively opposed stricter rules for large investment companies, allowing them to maintain market freedom and maximize profits. BlackRock also influences environmental policy. Although the company claims to support sustainable development, it simultaneously invests massive amounts in oil and gas companies. This contradiction raises questions about whose interests it truly promotes. In 2020, activists accused BlackRock of lobbying for weaker environmental standards in the US and Europe, despite its promises to support green investments. BlackRock representatives have influence in the European Parliament and other political institutions, lobbying for laws that benefit corporations. Larry Fink, the head of BlackRock, regularly participates in the World Economic Forum and meets with world leaders to discuss global strategies. BlackRock spends millions of dollars lobbying for laws that protect its interests and allow it to maintain control over financial markets. Despite statements about supporting environmental initiatives, BlackRock continues to invest in traditional energy, including oil and gas. Thus, BlackRock has enormous influence over shaping laws and political decisions. It promotes the interests of its clients, which can conflict with the interests of ordinary citizens and global environmental goals. Imagine a company that doesn't just manage money, but effectively governs entire countries. Many people don't even know it exists. Yet, it influences how markets operate, which laws are passed, and which countries emerge victorious from crises. This is BlackRock, a company some experts call the shadow government. But why is it feared so much? In 2021, BlackRock actively lobbied for easing financial market regulations in the US. This allowed it and other major companies to continue risky investments while minimizing government oversight. As a result, BlackRock can influence the laws regulating the financial system, meaning it can play by its own rules, making the economy less secure for ordinary people. BlackRock controls trillions of dollars and can direct massive flows of money in one direction or another. This gives it real power, which most people are unaware of. Imagine an important economic law is passed, one that affects your life by influencing store prices, pensions, or taxes, and you don't even know that the law was written in the interest of a major corporation. Experts argue that BlackRock makes decisions for billions of people behind their backs, posing a real threat to the freedom and independence of nations. Some call BlackRock the black hand of the global economy. Like an invisible puppeteer, it slowly but surely pulls the strings, steering the world in a direction that benefits itself. This means its decisions affect not only finances, but also how we live, work, and even think. Experts believe BlackRock is part of a shadow government that rules the world behind the scenes, making decisions for billions of people without their knowledge. Thus, BlackRock's influence extends far beyond finance. It shapes global economic and political processes, managing both capital and information. Some experts believe this poses a real threat to the independence of nations, as the decisions made by this corporation can fundamentally alter the global economy and politics. The question remains, is BlackRock a new force governing the world? Or is it a company that has gambled away the freedom and independence of entire countries for its own gain? Share your thoughts in the comments, subscribe to the channel, and thank you for watching.